Thank you for tuning in to the Patricia Show. Please press like, subscribe, and share. And share this audio with someone who you may think need it. We're going to talk about these Gospels again. These particular Gospels were found in Egypt in the year of 1945. They had to be translated and put together. There were several of them. One was the Gospel of Thomas, the Gospel of Phillips, the Gospel of Truth, and that's what we're going to talk about today. There were more. There were more that we'll talk about later, but the one we're going to talk about today is the Gospel of Truth. Now, the Gospel of Truth, it was scholars think that this was a teaching that was given by early Christians or Christianity teacher in early 120, anywhere between 120 and 180 CE. And this teaching is explaining the Gospel of truth is called. It's explaining in very simple terms who Jesus was, what did Jesus come here to do, about the power of God within you, and about ignorance is your greatest sin. Not necessarily the sin that the church is teaching you today, like adultery and fornication. And the Gospel of Truth is teaching that your biggest sins were ignorance. So let's dive into that. Let's dive into this now. So if it was one sentence to be able to clear up what the Gospel of Truth taught, it was the Gospel of Truth was written by an unknown Christian back in between 120 and 180 CEs. What it was teaching is that hold on one second. Let me get to the main thing. What it says is human beings forget who they are. They forget their divine origin. They forget that they come from God. And that forgetfulness causes fear, confusion, and suffering. And this says the problem is forgetting, not sin. So in other words, like I said, like adultery, fornication, that's not the problem. The problem is your forgetting. The second thing, Jesus the Christ came to remind us. Jesus reveals what was hidden. He awakened memories, and he brings knowledge. Jesus is a revealer, not a judge. 3, truth already lives within you. God placed truth within humanity from the beginning of time. Jesus didn't give out anything that was new. He helped people recognize what is already inside. 4, fear disappears when truth is known. Fear exists because of ignorance. When truth appears, fear disappears. Darkness has no power of its own. You do not fight darkness. You turn on the light. 5, Christ is a pattern humanity can follow. Jesus fully embodied divine awareness, and others can awaken the same way. Christ's consciousness is available to all. Jesus shows what is possible. He did not show you what it was the gift that he had and he had alone. In other words, Jesus came to show you what was everything he could do, it was possible for you to do. It even states that in the traditional Bible that what he did, you would be able to do better. So if it's one sentence or a paragraph that explains what the gospel of truth is as follows. The gospel of truth teaches that Christ came to awaken humanity to the divine truth already within them, freeing them from fear, ignorance, and the illusion of separation from God. Now, let me explain this about the ignorance. Let me explain this. Okay, so if the church gave you the information that you were to go to Jesus, you had to go through Jesus in order to get to God, right? And if that was not the right information, then every time you would go and pray to Jesus or go to try to talk to Jesus, you're still not going to be connected, and your life is not going to your life is not going to change. In other words, you're not going to evolve and grow because you're not being told the truth. You're still being kept in ignorance. But if the truth is revealed to you, as Jesus said, and Jesus did say this, seek ye first the kingdom of heaven, right? So if you follow that, what Jesus said, and then you begin to seek inside of yourself for your mighty I am, what is going to happen? Jesus already told you what's going to happen. Seek ye first the kingdom of heaven, and all things would be added to you. So that means everything you can think you want, you're going to have. Your life is going to change 100% for the better. That is the truth. But if you didn't have the truth to live that truth, you were still living in ignorance. Because if the earth was teaching you, or the people power beyond the earth was teaching you that Jesus said, come to him first, nothing's changing in your life with that teaching. You're going to Jesus, but nothing is changing your life. You're still struggling financially. You didn't have any money before. You still don't have none now. Everything is not being given unto you, yet you're going through Jesus as they taught. That's because it wasn't the truth what they taught. But when you are taught the truth, seek ye first the kingdom of heaven, and all things will be added to you, what happens? You are no longer ignorant. The light goes on, and then you see your life changing. Why? Because you're feeling this connection with God. Now you don't feel any separation from God. Now you're getting instructions and guidance on how to manifest more money. So what's happening? Everything is changing in your life. And then what happens? Everything is going to be given to you, because everything that you even thought that you wanted, because you seeked within as Jesus taught you, now everything will be added unto you. Like he said, seek ye first the kingdom of heaven, and all things will be added unto you. But before, when I was seeking, for 30 years, I was seeking God, you may say. And I didn't get anything I wanted. I might have got one or two things, but my world is still basically the same. I'm struggling. It was because you were in ignorance and you didn't know. But once that light was turned on, meaning that you were no longer in ignorance, once you were reminded that the kingdom of heaven is within you, and when you turn within, all things are added unto you. Now your life truly begins to change. So this is what this is teaching, right? This is what this is teaching. That all things will be added to you when you seek within. But because you were still in ignorance before, you still were struggling. So this is what the gospel of truth is saying, that ignorance is the problem. When you are not given the truth, that is the problem. The other thing that that the gospel of truth was teaching, God is within you. He's not somewhere off distance sitting on a throne. Your authority is internal. It is you. It is not the church. Salvation is awakening, not obedience. No one needs permission to know God. But all of these things that you were taught to do was not bringing you closer to God. If anything, it was moving you further away from God. So it's almost like the ignorance, or I'm not going to say ignorance, but when we're in ignorance, and then when we're given the light to awaken, the truth to come to tell us whatever that truth is, and to live in that truth, the light comes on, and then our life changes. So what the gospel of truth is teaching is correct. The darkness, that the ignorance will have you it's like darkness. It'll have you stumbling in the dark, not knowing what to do or how to change your life. But when you seek the truth, then you're guided. Then you know what to do. Then that inner divine presence of God leads and guides you. Instead of going left, it'll tell you to go right. Instead of going back, it'll tell you to go forward. So now you have the guidance. Why? Because you have the truth. We need to sit down and examine what we have been taught for many, many years. And then we need to connect with our God presence within and ask if this information that we've been taught for years, is it true? And if it is not true, show me. And why is it that the church never told us about these gospels? They just dismissed them. Think about that. Thank you for tuning in to the Patricia Show. My name is Patricia.